And naturally, I'm a Tottenham man, obviously. I can reflect back to being a player with and manager of some of the finest players that have ever been in the game.
The place is fantastic, the tradition of this club.
To be the manager of 3 cup-winning teams here, I'm so lucky, it's untrue.
Hotspur America podcast, airing every week during the English Premier League season.
What a glory, glory night at White Hart Lane. This great and historic football club.
Wonderful night down the Tottenham High Road.
Hotspur America, the original US-based podcast dedicated solely to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
Is Gascoigne going to have a crack? He is, you know. Oh, I say! Schoolboy's own stuff.
I hate Arsenal, just hate them.
Oh, what a goal! Unbelievable! Wow, this is incredible.
We're the Yids in America.
This is on the tap in.
What a fantastic run! He scored! And it's turned home, Eric Dyer.
This is your Hotspur America. Welcome everybody, week 16, season 1 of the Hotspur America podcast. Ken, Sam, we're here with you this week, talking a lot about our beloved club. We're going back 2 weeks. We skipped last week, had a week off, take care of Christmas shopping and the like with the holiday. Talk about Chelsea, Palace, Besiktas, Swansea, and the upcoming fixtures. But first and foremost, Sam, how are you, bud?
My man, I'm good. 3 somewhat jammy points, but 3 points. So I'm happy.
Pissing rain, man. I felt chills up my spine just watching the game.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine sitting out in that crap.
Oh, can you imagine halftime, coming in at halftime soaking wet every shred of your body?
Yeah, and then you put a brand new kit on, and then you run out there and you're instantly soaking wet again.
Oh, yeah. What a slick pitch, how fast that was at times, and interesting football being played there.
And I like that. I mean, I think that's what we're kind of geared for and built for. We played a lot of long balls today, and I don't think that's really a lot of our game. Just from the back, we were just hoofing it upfield, it seemed at times, and that's when Swansea seemed to be controlling the pace of the game at that point.
Yeah, bizarre. It was a bizarre game in a number of instances, and you know they were the better team, and I'm just very, very, very thankful that there was a moment of clarity towards the end. We put Eriksson back in the middle. He scores, saves the day, and we move on to a very interesting run of fixtures here, don't we?
Yeah, we do, and you know it's kind of funny. We've talked in the past about, well, that was a Spursy win, you know, type of thing. I'm starting to wonder that if you look in Webster's anymore, the definition of Spursy win is anything that wins us or loses us a match after the 88th minute.
Yeah. Well, and an interesting wrinkle today in that we scored in the first 5.
Right.
And
usually we're giving that up. We lead the league in giving up goals in the first 15 minutes of matches. So,
man, the one thing that I honestly felt today, that was as good of a lineup as we could have produced. So I was really thankful for that. And I just kind of felt like, even in retrospect, after watching that match, that and don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from Swansea, but if we were set up correctly, that could have been somewhat of an effortless win for us. I mean, I understand the conditions, and I understand that, you know, no win for us is easy, but I don't know. I was frustrated with how we were set up, and as I said, you know, a moment of clarity at the end, and we get better shape, and we started actually looking like we should have started, and Eriksson gets his goal, and we steal and win, and we move on.
Do you think he stayed a little more protective with a 4-2-3-1, being that it was Walker's first Premiership game in 9 months, and that we were on the road against a pretty stout team at home? Well,
Ken, let me ask you, was it really a 4-2-3-1?
You know, it's kind of set up like that because you have, you know, Eriksson set up on the left for the most part during the game, and Kane sat behind him until all the substitutions started to be made. It's almost like a 4-4-1-1 more than anything.
Well, I mean, I kept on watching it, and looking as closely as I possibly could and trying to be objective, but it seemed like back 4. Actually, it was really sort of 2 in the back with Davies and Walker sort of in advanced roles, and then it just seemed to me that it was Lamela on one side, Eriksson on the other. You know, you had 2 midfield. It seemed like 4-2-2-2 to me. With the 2 up front, you know, with obviously, you know, with Soldado being in front and Kane playing behind him, so call it, you know, 4-2-2-1-1. And just playing Eriksson as wide as you can. I just didn't really feel like it was a traditional 3 there, and if it was so very wide. But I always kind of felt like that Kane was always in an advanced role relative to Eriksen and Lamela. Either way, call it what you want, didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of talked about the fact that some of these formations leave us a little too compact. I thought that we had good width today. I felt we used every inch of the pitch that we could have used, but the attack always does seem to be going up the middle. They seem to do a lot more damage, especially after Walker got put on a yellow, going up the wings than we did. I mean,
well, I don't know. I kept on thinking that when we play. I just view Eriksen as just such a wasted resource out wide, and I've always said, well, the best I've ever really hoped for him defensively was that he sort of shows for defending, and I suppose to a degree he did today, but the problem is that he's out wide, and so they just exposed us down the middle. I never really felt like that Walker and Davies really got. I mean, the goal came as a result, and their most damage was when they putting balls through the middle to Boney, who's outstanding, right?
That guy's amazing, dude.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really. Did you see him after he scored? He pointed and said, "I'm staying here." It seemed like that was what he was mouthing, which I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "I guess we'll never get him."
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good. He's really, really, really good. But I felt like where we were exposed defensively, I suppose Davies did make a mistake. He didn't track back, but I really kind of felt like it was Vertonghen supposed to fill for him there, and didn't really. It looked like Fazio was just really uncoordinated, like that waterlogged pitch just gave him fits all game. I mean, I think he can play better, and there's not really much cover for him. I don't think you're supposed to put Dyer in there. I still think he's our best alternative. But anyway, look, I just think that offensively everything should go through Eriksen. We've said it time and time again. Our best displays have been with him as that sort of quarterback Pirlo-esque type role, and just Pog just doesn't seem to. Not only doesn't seem to value him that place, but seems to really struggle to change his mind. You want to talk about your boy Lamela?
Yeah, Eric seems to be. I mean, I don't know if he's trying too hard, or if his touches are just too heavy, or if he's just being a little too selfish still. Has he not realized that I think he gets that it's a team game. He still leads the team in assists, but it seems that when he gets the ball, he's almost trying to do too much, and in that regard seems a little bit selfish to me. He's always good for a trick, but it seems like he's always good for one too many, and then when they start to not come off as well as the first couple do, it just snowballs into a lot of dispossession.
What do you think he did good today?
What I thought he did good today was just in the first 10 minutes of the game, and his pestering style of defending play. But I loved the fact that he was a little chippy today. I loved the fact that he swung that elbow at what the hell was his name? Moreno? Not Moreno.
Yeah. No, I think it was actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they were talking about how they both speak Spanish. And,
yeah.
I agree, and that's if there is one sort of consistent theme with him this year, if there has been a bit of a bright spot, is that he has played hard. But as I said to somebody on Twitter today, look, I expect every player to play it like that, and especially a £30 million player. And it's great to see that he's doing that, because that's not the premier reason for us to be excited about him. But just offensively, he doesn't look comfortable at all, does he?
No, but maybe he's been told that I want you to try this kind of a role. He has no problem being an aggressive player. He was like this in Roma, and a lot of people don't realize that because they never saw him play, and I did a lot. And he, when Bentaleb played last year and came on in, the one vision of Bentaleb that rings out for me from last year was the Arsenal match, when he had a confrontation deep in our zone with Wilshere, and Wilshere ended up flat on his belly on the pitch, and play ended. There was a free kick given in our favor, and everybody was kind of walking back up the pitch, and when he was walking, kind of untangling himself and walking back by Wilshere, he stomped his foot down, inches from his hand. He was going to crunch his hand. Lamella's not that big of a hothead at times, but he knows how to be aggressive. Now, he's also very European in the way that he tries to get away with these things, in that it happens, and then he looks at the referee, puts his hands together in prayer, and says, "Hey, I didn't do anything." Just look the other way, or "Hey, I've learned my lesson. Don't give me a card," or whatever the case may be. And conversely, when something happens against one of his teammates or himself, he's immediately running to the ref, telling him,
"Yeah, I know.
Let's give him a card, give him a card." And I think he's being taught that lesson.
Yeah, he's chintzy at times.
Very.
Look, I'm like everybody. I'm frustrated with him. I'm to a degree. I'm thankful that there's just no real clear, better option. It's not like Chadley's coming in and lighting the place on fire. And as we've talked about in shows in the past, yeah, I mean, Chadley's been important. He scored goals that have been important to us, but it's not like he's been important from establishing a style of play,
right?
Establishing sort of well, exactly that, a real clear-cut style. So, more of the same, and I mean, I want him to play more. The frustrating part is he's been given opportunities. Look, so many things, especially on Twitter, Pac out and blame everywhere.
I'm not on
blame
that.
Players. No, I know. But we talk about. I think the Pac in camp is saying he must be given time.
Sure. Just like the players.
I totally agree, but it is kind of ironic, though, that the Pac out camp, right, is willing to give players, especially Lamela, high on that list, a chance to play, but not necessarily the manager. Anyhow.
Well, and anybody that's in the Pac out camp, they all wanted Frank de Boer or Louis van Gaal to be here.
Yeah,
I
wanted de Boer. I'll be the first to admit, but I want us to be given time. I'm of the camp that look, in terms of what we want to do from a grand scale, we don't have the players that do it. Do we have a couple of players that I think could be instrumental in that progression? I believe so. Do I think Lamela is going to be that player? Although I have said, I've shared my excitement with him at times. I just don't know. I don't know whether he has the makeup here, but I guess, as I said, I guess the good thing about it is that we don't have anybody that's a clear-cut alternative to him, so he's still going to get his opportunities, and we're in plenty of competitions. But it's not like he's really shined anywhere except for a few, European games. So.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of this stems from. Listen, you got to give not only the January window to Pochettino, but you're going to have to give him the summer window too. And I think Levy is hell-bent on giving him that because he is finally the style and type of manager that I think he wants in place. So he's going to give him the window. And he now has, with the directors of football that he has, with the scouting network especially that he now has, and the way that these guys are going to be able to bring the players in that match his system. I'm still convinced that we're struggling, especially up front, save Kane, because of this aged striker thing is not working out, and even Rodriguez at 27 can be a little worrisome to me, but he's not 30, So if you get a couple or 3 good years maybe out of him, if he is a target, then that's fine. I'm not saying go out and get a bunch of young kids, but everybody around them is. Everybody around them, nobody exceeds 23 years old that's on that pitch today except for the defenders. So everybody in the midfield and everybody surrounding those strikers is 23, 22, 21, and younger years old. So Pochettino has to be given the opportunity to bring in his players. And until he does, you can't fairly judge the guy. I'm sorry.
I would agree. I would agree. I can't sit here and holistically tell you that he is the man, that he is a great manager, but I really truly believe from a principles perspective and from an organizational perspective, and more importantly, knowing the damage that instability has done to our organization, that he simply must be given time. You simply cannot be willing to invest the financial resources that we do, 4 or 5 million quid a year for a manager, yet define him by half a season with players that weren't his, and I think all to varying degrees can have some level of agreement that they're not good enough. I mean, so I agree with you. I'd like to see him. Well, I don't think it's going to take a whole lot, nor do I think we can get a whole lot.
And here's the argument from the other side. This is what happens on Twitter. Well, if he doesn't have the players that he needs to make his system work, then he needs to change his system. And that's bullshit, and I'm going to tell you why. 7 or 8 of the players that are playing are going to be core players for this system. They've already had kind of a pseudo transfer window to kind of bring in a few, whether it's Fazio and Stambouli, who look wonderful, by the way, as coming in for Mason.
Yeah.
Or what? And